I'm Bill the Geek, broadcasting not live from Iguana Park in Mazatlan, Mexico. This is the Bill Dallas Lewis channel, and we make videos about the joys of living in Mexico. This next video is with a fabulous lady. Her name is Meredith, and she lives in Ajijic. She's lived throughout the United States, and she has traveled the world. I'm going to say she's at the age, some people would say she's a senior citizen. And she's working with her budget from Social Security, and she's found like 5 or 6 ways to enhance her income, just helping people do fabulous things. You want to watch the entire video. She's a very knowledgeable person. Also, you want to listen carefully because she got her visa without any financial papers and minimal paperwork. And I want to thank her very much for this great interview. Meredith Ann Murray, good afternoon.
Hey, Bill, nice to see you. Thanks for letting me do this.
Oh, letting you. I'm privileged to have you with all of us, and you can share your wisdom about where you've been and what you do. And so Meredith, we have so many questions for you, and I'm sure people are thinking, well, who is she and what's she doing? Well, Meredith, where have you lived in the past?
Well, I grew up in New England, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and upstate New York, a little bit out of New England. And after college, then I moved to the San Francisco Bay Area, lived on the peninsula south of San Francisco for 19 years. And then I moved to Washington State, where I lived in Bellingham, Washington, 20 miles south of the Canadian border, right south of Vancouver, BC, for 24 years. And that's where I left to move to Mexico from there 2.5 years ago.
And when did you start coming to Mexico?
Back in the 70s and 80s, because I lived in California. So I would go down to Mazatlan and Puerto Vallarta, and my mother-in-law lived in Coronado, so we'd go over to T-Town, Tijuana, and Rosarito Beach and stuff. So just, since the 70s and 80s, I love Mexico. Yeah.
Now this isn't on my list of questions, but I lived in Puerto Vallarta for 10 years, and wow. I never heard of Mazatlan. I'd been in Mexico maybe like 12 years before I even heard. How did you hear about? I can see everybody goes to Puerto Vallarta, but Mazatlan, how did you hear about that?
Well, I don't know, because husband number 2 whisked me away from husband number 1 to go to Mazatlan. And he's passed away now, so I don't know how he found out about it, but that was my first time to Mexico, I think, back in 75, I think it was.
And have you ever lived in a foreign country before?
Yes, I've lived about 3 years of my life in Europe. I was able to do my student teaching at the American School of Madrid or New Hampshire, but I said, well, when do I leave for Madrid? And that was fun. So I spent a whole year, 11.5 months in Europe that time. After I graduated, I didn't come home for graduation. I just bombed around Europe and did youth hostels, and actually got a job in Madrid at the air base so I could stay there for a while, and just had a blast. And then another time, my husband and I rented out our home in California, which was a high rent district. And that's when the dollar was strong in Europe. And we went to Europe for a whole year. And the money went further then. We bought a brand new BMW. Actually, we bought 2. One got stolen. So we bought a second brand new BMW and lived in Europe for a year that time. He was retired from the military. And so he had lived in Naples, Italy for 2 tours of duty and wanted to show me his beloved Naples, Italy, and his sister ended up being there because she married a local guy when she came to visit one time, fell in love. So yeah, that was a fun year. And my parents had a home in southern Spain for 25 years. So we also spent a lot of time down there on the coast.
Now, you spent a year in Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't on my question list either, but the more you talk, the more questions I have. Apparently you speak Spanish.
Very little. I call it restaurant travel Spanish, to be honest. I had 6 years of French in school, so I know a little bit of how to learn a Latin language in a way, but I've lived in Italy too, so it's all mixed up in there. Sometimes I'll think of the Italian word first, or I'm really not fluent in any one language except English. It's kind of sad, but I can find the bus station and when does the train leave and what's for dinner, what can I eat here and stuff like that. Restaurant travel Spanish.
¿Dónde está baño?
Yeah, I know that one.
Okay,
Servicio.
servicio. That means
Yeah.
how do you go to the bathroom, folks, for those of you that don't know.
Yeah.
What was the process or the journey like to move to Ajijic? What was that all about?
Well, it was a decision that took a few years to make. I first came here in 2014 for a minister's retreat. I'm an interfaith minister, and my seminary founder, James Twyman, has a community here called Namaste Lake Chapala. So in 2014, he invited any one of our 600 ministers that went through his program worldwide to join us here, and about 10 of us were able to come. And I spent 10 days here, 4-day retreat, and then 6 days as a tourist, and just fell in love with it. There was live jazz, there was great food, there was sunshine. What's not to like? It was amazing. I'm a huge jazz fan. So I came back in 2019, I guess 5 years later. He was still here. He'd started to build his community and spent another 10 days here and thought, wow, I have no idea how I'll ever retire in the States and live on Social Security. There's no way. I'll have to sell real estate till I drop. And so I thought, maybe I could live here. And it just started becoming more and more of a reality. Actually interviewed with some real estate companies, thought I might want to continue real estate part-time, but I don't. So I haven't done that, except a little bit on the side for helping people find renters for their apartments. So yeah, after that second 10 days here, I went home and I'm going to do this. It took me a year and a half to purge all my earthly belongings except clothing and a few mementos and get out of Dodge, end a real estate career, say goodbye to my 2 sons and all my friends of 24 years there, and move to Mexico. And it's been such a wonderful journey. I just love it here. I'm in bliss, and a lot of my friends come to visit me and they're like, oh yeah, you did the right thing. You're so lucky. It's not luck, it's a lot of planning and work. Yep,
Did you have dimples before you moved to Ajijic?
Absolutely. And because someone told me that means your parents were smiling when you were conceived. I'm like, yeah, okay. I hope so.
I've got to put that on my list. I've never heard that one before. That's a good one. That's a doozy.
That's a doozy.
Now, how long have you lived in Ajijic?
2.5 years. I came here in May of 2020. May 25th. I was supposed to come May 5th. I thought, what fun to fly on Cinco de Mayo, which is really just a restaurant holiday in the U.S. for Mexican restaurants. It's not a holiday in Mexico. Silly me. I thought it was Independence Day here. It's not. It's just a restaurant holiday in the States for Mexican food and stuff. But the planes were not flying much in May 5th of 2020. There were a lot of cancellations. So finally, Volaris started flying again nonstop from Oakland. So I had to fly from Seattle, where they used to fly nonstop from at that time, and then down to Oakland, and then nonstop to Guad. So that was a great way to get here.
To Guad. Tell other people.
Guadalajara. Okay. GDL on the three letters of the airport is GDL, and my village is only about 35 minutes from the Guadalajara airport. We're lucky, city of 8 to 10 million people, that the airport's on our end of the megalopolis, so it's only 35 minutes from here, which is amazing.
Yes, and for people that don't know, Guadalajara on a good day is a 45-minute drive. On a bad day, it can be an 8-hour drive but we won't talk about. But on a good day, it's 45 minutes. But all of the easy traffic is between the airport and Ajijic.
That's right.
So if you get right in a taxi or somebody picks you up, there's almost no traffic, and then there's a point when you go up a hill and then you go down a hill and you can see all of the lake, and the air quality changes also.
Yeah, over the hill, yeah. It's
and
nice.
and you can breathe nicely, and the temperature drops a couple of degrees, and it's a oh, you could just go up and down that hill all day. It's a heavenly
Yeah, yeah.
experience.
A lot of people come in at the crack of dawn when it's still dark, so they haven't seen that view of the lake as they come over the hill because they're playing arrives at 5:30 in the morning or something. So I love it when I can take them back, go to Chapala and come home that way and say, look, this is what you missed at 5 in the morning. This is the view.
Oh,
This is the view.
oh, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Now maybe you mentioned this a few minutes ago, but did you visit Ajijic before moving here? I think
Yeah,
you came down for
twice.
10, and how many times? Yes.
Two 10-day periods, one in 2014 and one in 2019. So I think it was September 2014 and January 2019, both 10 days here. And it just felt at home immediately. And of course, my astrologer said this is the perfect place for me. She looked it up and all where the planets and stars align. She said it's the only place in all the Americas that's perfect for you, Meredith. All your ley lines go right through there. And I knew I needed to be near water. My whole life I've needed to be near salt water usually. She said that lake's big enough to qualify for you being near water. I'm like, okay, because we're on the biggest lake in Mexico, freshwater lake. It's between 50 and 57 miles long. I've heard different descriptions of how long it is, but it's beautiful and enormous. So yeah, that suffices.
Yeah, Ajijic is fabulous. It's a wonderful place, and so many wonderful people, so many places to eat. And
Yep.
the last time, well, I lived in Chapala, which is
Hmm.
next door.
Yeah.
But before I moved here to Mazatlan, I lived with my cousin who lives in Ajijic now. She's a fabulous artist, but she lives and sorry you guys, but Meredith will know what I'm talking about. She lives right above Pharmacy of Guadalajara,
Oh yeah.
going up going up the hill,
Yeah.
like a block.
Okay.
And the musicians up there, she can hear music whenever it's played in town.
Yeah.
But the musicians, the expat and Mexican national musicians
Amazing.
in Ajijic, they're incredible.
Yeah.
And I've heard some expat guys from Canada, the United States. Sometimes they're playing Beatles music, and
Mhm.
they're playing Frank Zappa, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they go into play that funky music, right, boy? I mean, and they're jamming, and they're hit. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing. And
They have
jazz,
so
yeah.
much jazz. Mostly well, there's some expat players here, but a lot of it's the Mexican players are just awesome. I actually friend all of them because I'm at all their concerts, and then I tag them in pictures on Facebook and everything because they don't have professional photographers following them around. But I go and I tag them at their gigs and stuff. They're so sweet.
Ah, oh,
Yeah.
it's a I don't want to go down Music Road. That's a whole different video, Meredith. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not going there.
Okay.
Now what professions were you in the United States?
Well, I was a stay-at-home mom and a homemaker for 20 years and a couple of different marriages. And then I began a real estate career in my 50s and well, not quite 50s, 40s, because I had a 20-year career in real estate. A little bit early in life, and then back in for 16 years licensed in Washington State. So did other roles in offices and stuff in real estate. But that was a great career for me because punching a time clock is like being in prison for me. I just can't stand it, even though I had this, you know, biting my nails whether I'm going to get a closing and be able to pay rent the next month as a single mom and no other income in the house. It was hair raising sometimes, but I wouldn't trade the independence and freedom and the entrepreneurial spirit for anything. I just don't like working for someone else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I did that for 20 years and loved it.
Ah. Please leave a comment. Tell us what you think. Tell us about videos that you would like to see. And if you know people that would need to see this video, click the share button. Thank you. Like, where and how do you acquire your income now? And you've you've told me the answer to this, and I know kind of what's coming, but there's always more that's going on. And I'm going to say that this is one of the most fascinating answers that I'm going to get. So you guys really have to listen, because many people like me, we need income to stay in Mexico, and we want to live better all the time. But what do you do? How do you bring in those dollarinis and pesos
Pesos. Yeah, pesos.
to live well in
Well,
Mexico?
I'll just be honest, my Social Security is going up a little bit in January, not much because we're getting a raise apparently, but I've been living on $1,040 a month, 1,1040. So I just, and I, because I'm a minister, I always tell people I have a trust fund, and they go, oh, okay, well, I understand how I can live on that little here. I'm like, no, you have a trust fund too. I trust in the universe or God or whatever you want to call the creator of us or of this universe, that all that I need will be provided, and it always is. I get discounts on rents. I get friends offering to help pay my way. I have many different ways of earning income because I'm an entrepreneur. So I was thinking about this the other day and kind of wrote them all down. I'm like, good job, Meredith. So I've helped not people whose English is a second language. I've helped them edit their websites and their promotional material here, because most of the expats here, even though people are from different countries and different languages, the common language is English among the expats. So they want their websites to be in English. So I do correcting and tweaking, and I charge for that. I also officiate weddings. I can't do the legal thing here, but I can officiate a wedding, and then they can go get the justice of the peace or whatever to do the legal thing. Haven't done any yet, but I've interviewed for one. Didn't get the gig, but I love doing weddings. Done that since 2004. And memorial services. I do those by donation. So anyway, and I have a van here. I drove down, and I do concierge driving. Like a friend of mine just held a 4-day women's retreat at a nearby hotel, and a couple of the gals are older and unable to walk on our crazy streets and sidewalks, as you're familiar with. So I was the concierge driver. Every time they needed to go somewhere or wanted to go somewhere, I picked them up and take them. You know, and if we had to go to dinner or a show, they'd pay my way and everything. So it was great. I help people move in my van because all my seats go into the floor, so it becomes a cargo van. I help people do errands when they first move here, or just like I took friend furniture shopping and till she found what she wanted and they delivered it. So I do things like that. I also help people preview rentals. And I actually helped someone preview a house that she actually bought. She made an offer and got it accepted sight unseen, and then had the 10-day inspection period to get out of it if she didn't like it when she got back. But we didn't want to let that one get away, so she put an offer in on my recommendation. And I also help preview rentals for people, because 20 years in real estate, I kind of know what to look for in a house, especially coming from the Northwest. I know usually can spot mold pretty well, because that's here sometimes, and they don't wrap the houses well sometimes, so they get moldy.
May 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 may
Um,
may, may
yeah,
I
yeah,
interrupt for a
sure,
second here?
sure.
I moved here 17 years ago. I didn't know anything about Mexico. I found a place online. This is 17 years ago. They charged me $700 a month.
Whoa.
And okay, I was making money online at the time. I had the money in the bank. I could pay it. I didn't question it. I moved down here, and excuse my French, but it was a hellhole. But I didn't know it. I didn't know it. I thought that everybody in Mexico lived in hellholes.
Oh,
I did,
gee.
and
Yeah,
I'm looking, I can see your kitchen in the background. You have a nice stove, a microwave. It's nice
yeah,
and white. It looks so
yeah.
clean. I didn't know there were places like that in Mexico. And now that I've lived here 17 years, I understand that people live luxuriously down here, and some of them pay a lot of money. Some of
Yeah,
them don't pay hardly any money. So a service like yours, where you can go to the place,
right,
somebody, they're not here, they just want to know, well, is this place
right,
okay? What is it like?
right.
I've seen, and for you to be able to go there and look around, and also you have the knowledge of what is available. You can tell people, well,
Yeah,
for $100 less, you could go a notch up.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know the area very well now. I mean, I looked at one place, and the agent couldn't get in. And he said, well, that's weird because the former owner lives in a casita on the property right there, and she's got the door locked and won't let us in. Right there, I'm like, okay, this is probably not a good place for my clients. They want some privacy. They don't want the former owner living on the property with them in a casita. Okay, so this one's out anyway, right? And the next one is fine. But I also learned that in order for them to get their goods shipped from Canada now, they can no longer send them to the address of the moving company. They used to be able to do that. They used to be able to send them to the moving company who could then put it in storage for them. They have to have a lease, an address to send their goods to from North America. So they have to find a rental before they get here if they're going to ship goods down, put them on the manifest. So that's something new I learned in the last few months doing this for a couple from Canada that came down. But, and I also went shopping and had the kitty litter and the kitty box and the food there for the cat when they arrived, early in the morning after flying all night. So they were glad that. And then they slept a little and I picked them up to go get groceries for a couple hours, and all the things they noticed they needed on the first look through the kitchen, like, what are we going to eat tonight or tomorrow morning for breakfast? Or is there a coffee pot? Things like that. So yeah, we did that. So I do that kind of concierge service for people, whatever they need, errands and stuff. And then I was thinking of another way that I earn income is so many people are asking me, well, will you talk to my friend? She's thinking of moving down there. Oh, I have a friend of a friend who'd like to talk to you. I'm like, this is just taking up way too much of my time. I never even met these people. So I just started saying, no, I can't do that. And then I thought, how can I help these people? How can I help them? Oh my gosh, I think I can get a free Zoom room for 40 minutes. They give you free 40 minutes. And I will do now and then when I have the time, and I'll have an email list, free Zoom calls, group Zoom calls about moving to Mexico. And if people want to share to strangers they've never met on the Zoom call, I've had people call in from Israel and stuff, friends of friends, to be on this call, and Canada and US mostly. And so I do those now and then. And then if they want my one-on-one time, it's $55 for an hour, and I have a PayPal account. So a few people have taken me up on that because they don't want to share all their details with people they've never met on a Zoom call. And I don't record them. I tell them it's totally, when this is finished, it's over. I won't share this with anybody. So yeah, so that's a way I've leveraged that, because I have a life here. I don't want to just sit on the phone with people I've never met and tell them about living in Mexico. So that's another way. And then the last way, I was telling you the other day about my lakeside tours. I just started doing this with friends, and they'd contribute to my gas. I'm like, this is fun. I could do this for people who move here and wonder what's beyond the edges of Ajijic, that they've never been to Chapala, they've never been to Jocotepec. It's a 20-mile stretch, we call it lakeside, from Jocotepec to Chapala, where many the expats end up landing. Beautiful. The other side is mostly tiny little farm towns. There's really not a lot of homes on the other side of the lake. It's mostly farms, agricultural. So I've started doing that. And the other day I did one I have the minimum with 3 people, and learned the hard way, have to have them pay up front because people bag out at the last minute. Then I still have to take 1 or 2 people. That's not worth my time, even pay for gas. So it took 7 hours the other day. We had fun. This fellow I met in the plaza, and then 2 women that I've met. They didn't know each other, but we all had a great time talking and showing them the Malacones and all the towns, and narrating along the way about there you can get that, and there's that, and there up there's the spa, and just telling them where everything is along Lakeside. It's really fun.
Now, I must regress here again. I have to go back 17 years when I first got to Puerto Vallarta, and I'm paying $700 a month to stay in a hellhole because I didn't know any better. And yes, I'm 3 blocks from the beach, and I found a little tienda, and in English that would be a little shop. And if you look into Meredith's background, this tienda was about the size of her kitchen area. I mean, and there are millions of places like this in Mexico, but in there they have almost everything.
Yeah.
Rice, beans, sugar, milk, tortillas, bread. They got stuff you can't, and it's all, the place is crowded. You can barely get in, okay?
Exactly.
But that was 2 blocks away, and that's all I knew. I'm going to say for 3 months, that's where I shopped.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't know that there was a grocery store that I could walk, a big giant, like a American grocery store, more or less. I
Yeah.
didn't know that Costco was like a mile away. I could take the bus there.
Jeez.
Uh, and in terms of Chapala, Ajijic, there is no Costco in Chapala, Ajijic, but there are many places in Chapala, Ajijic that sell Costco products. Like I'm a Costco toilet paper freak. I'm a Costco paper towel freak.
Me too, for sure.
And I'm going to tell people, don't come down here and eat the Mexican margarine. Don't do that. And I am a Costco butter freak. And there are like 4 or 5 places in the Ajijic Chapala area that sell those things. They sell Costco toilet paper, Costco paper towels, and Costco butter. And
Okay.
for someone like you that not only can take them to another small town, take them to Jocotepec, take them to Chapala, but it's those little things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's where you can find this. Here's where you can
Right.
find that.
Right.
Here's the grocery store here. And
Yeah.
these people sell, it's those little things that will save you literally years of time and grievance.
Yeah. 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 And I take people through the back streets sometimes just to show them the neighborhoods, especially if there's traffic on the carretera, which there usually is. You know, I like go through La Floresta and just show them the back roads into San Antonio and stuff and point out, oh, there's another store that carries the Costco things and stuff. Yeah. Or there's a great restaurant, little hole in the wall, you know, really good food, you know, just all those little secrets you pick up here. I'm a very, very active person. So I've picked up, you know, I've been a lot of places and met a lot of people in the 2.5 years I've been here. So,
Now, something else that you do that maybe you were at the end of your list, but you help people through the telephone, through Zoom calls with their spirituality also.
well, yeah, I do. I do integrated energy therapy with,
Hmm.
and it's a methodology I was trained to do and calibrated to connect with 9 angels are on our team. And so, of course, they do the work remotely. I can do this with anyone anywhere in the world. They just lie down in their bed at home, and I connect with them before and after the session, and they set their intentions, and we communicate those to the angels. And then I do the methodology that I use to help them here in my room. And yeah, so I do a one-off. People sometimes just want one session, which is not as effective as the 3-4, the 3-4. And I have different prices for depending on what part of the world you live in. Just have to do that. So as you know, we have the expat prices for here because people are often on retirement incomes or earn less here because the economy is just different here. It's very affordable and reasonable. And then we have the North American prices where people are earning a lot more, everything costs more, so they're used to paying more. My teacher told me that our fees should be commensurate with a 1-hour massage in whatever town the person's living in. So go with that.
So if they live in downtown San Francisco, you charge them $1,000 an hour, right?
No. I don't know what massages are, but they're probably a little bit more than here for an hour.
Oh, we could talk an hour about prices of
Yeah,
pedicures and
yeah.
massages. I mean, the prices here in Mexico are out of this world. But now, okay, so I love the ways that you have come up with to enhance your income, and it's all fun stuff. It's all helping
Hmm.
stuff. But when you're not helping people, which seems like almost all of the time, what activities do you what do you do when you're not earning an income? I mean, what activities do you
Okay, so
partake
things I do to keep myself healthy and well are a
in?
daily walk or bike ride. I have an e-bike, so I ride that maybe once or twice a month for an hour and a half, whatever. It's fun. They have a bike trail here, a ciclopista, which is safe, well, safer at the side of the road. And walk the Malecon almost every morning. That's my main thing. It's a nice 2 about a 2-mile round trip, 2.5-mile round trip from my apartment. And then on the way home, I always go to the coffee in the plaza. That's my, just to be outdoors, because I live in this little concrete box, which is lovely, but there's no view, there's no real patio or any nature here. So my outdoor time is at least 2.5 hours in the morning, just fresh air. And me, and I have what I call it my office hour in the plaza in the morning. People know I'm there. I meet new people and I invite people to join me, and I just say hi to random friends walking by, and they sit down and we have an hour discussion or something. So it's just kind of a flow of people. Today I invited a new person in town from Canada to walk and have coffee with me, so that was lovely. And a few people came by while I was talking with her and like, catch you another day, catch you another day. They could see I was busy, but yeah, I just trust that God will put the right person in my path that day that I'm supposed to talk to or help or learn from, whatever that is. I go out for live music a lot, and the Lake Chapala Society is in my neighborhood, and they have presentations Sunday mornings, live music at the Chapala Cultural Center on Sundays, free concerts by donation. That's wonderful, usually jazz, which is my heaven. I started a weekly luncheon for people in my community, and that's been going on every Thursday at noon since May 12th. And I also host a Deaf Cafe. Deaf cafes are all over the world. They started in England in 2011, where people just gather for free in a coffee shop or someone's home and talk about death, if you can imagine. It's quite a wonderful conversation, and it's meant a lot to the people who have been coming. You don't have to come every month. It's just a drop-in thing. Everything's confidential. It's not a grief support group or anything like that. It's just to talk about death, whether we go down the metaphysical path, we break up into small groups. I have several other co-hosts who are volunteers, and we talk about whatever comes up for people, like how do you die in Mexico? What are the laws? Do you have your paperwork in place? Or it could go completely metaphysical, like someone had a near-death experience, or they communicated with a loved one across the veil, or they lost a child and someone else in the group may have lost a child, and then they can find a connection and support. So it's just all over the place, but it's lovely. And a friend of a friend started it when she came here last winter. She does these in Canada. And then at the end, she said, does anyone here want to keep this going here? And I'm like, okay, me volunteering, because I've done memorial services and I'm a minister. So it just seemed like a good fit. And so my other volunteer hosts have also either been nurses, or they're still doing therapy, or they've been volunteers at hospices, or, so we have a nice group of hosts who feel comfortable facilitating small group talks about this stuff. So it's really great. It relieves people's hearts so much, because so many people grew up in families where death was not allowed to be talked about at all, a taboo subject. And so they're older, they're living here, or their parents are dying and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to face death or handle the process. So it's really comforting to talk to other people who are thinking about it, want to talk about it, and share stories and ideas, and it's just wonderful. So
that's fabulous, and I just want to say that I have never heard of that ever in my life before.
Really?
People that get together and talk about death. But I must say, I'm 66, and my next door neighbor is an American. She's 72. My next door neighbor over here, she's 72, and many people that live in my apartment complex. I run into many people that they don't talk about it, but what a valuable thing. And I think about it, well, I'm 66. The time is coming up, let's go, but
yeah,
what a valuable, so many.
it is. It is
So
very valuable. So that's still that those are kind of volunteer things. And I'm also a masterful networker, and it's my superpower to connect people. I probably have 3 to 10 times a day, I'll get a text or a telegram message or a messenger, something like, who do you know that does this? Where should I go for that? Have you had an experience? And I keep track of all that stuff. I keep business cards, and I keep photo files, and I know where to refer people to. And so someone said I should call my what I do, Ask Me Anything. So, about this area, not about anything in the world, but just about this area, because I love to help people, and good people. Like, I like my hairdresser, so I always refer people to him. a couple of people haven't liked him. That's going to happen. It's okay. It's
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
personality thing, I think. I don't think it was necessarily
Oh,
the
yes. Yes.
haircut, but
Yes.
personality wise, yeah, he's
Hmm.
quite a character, but he's a sweetheart. So
Ah.
yeah, so I do all that stuff. And then I travel in the area. I've traveled around Mexico a little bit when I can. People give it to me as gifts, or I pay my way if I can afford it to split the cost with people traveling with me locally, like Tequila, Mazamitla, Guadalajara, but also Nueva Vallarta, where my spiritual mother lives. I go down there and see her now and then. She moved here at 89 alone to Mexico, so she led the way for me. And where else have I been? Oh, up to Laredo to renew my car papers. That's a 2-day drive up and 2-day drive back. it's,
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
crazy far. But yeah, just and I was very blessed. I wondered how I could possibly stay here because I was on a tourist visa and then that expired, and I was living here for quite a while with an expired visa. And they have a wonderful program here in Mexico. It may be ending now. I don't know. My lawyer said that they do it periodically. They kind of clear up the expired tourist visas by giving people the opportunity to become a temporary resident. And they suspend all the financial requirements. So that's the way I was shown by my higher power, whatever. Like, if you want me to stay here, God, show me the way. And a way was shown. I was able to get my temporary residency with no financial requirements without leaving the country. So that was a miracle. Absolutely a miracle.
Now that cuts off the next question I was going to ask, which is, do you have residency in Mexico? Which
Mhm.
kind, and how did you get it? And what you're saying now, they changed the rules. It's almost every year.
Yeah.
And now you have to start with the consulate in the United States and do some paperwork there, and they get that approved. Then you can come down, and then you can actually go to immigration and get your 1, 2, 3 year or so permanent visa. But
Right.
what you bypassed, you didn't have to go through the consulate in the United States. You didn't have to give them 6 to 9 months or a year of bank statements and proof of income. And now to get a 1-year visa, you need, like, some people are saying $2,600 proved income, or $3,000 a month proved income, or for a permanent visa you have to have like 46,000. You bypassed all of that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Away was shown.
wow.
Actually, quite a few of my friends have gone that route too. And I don't know. My lawyer, I told her that I was interested in this, and I kept hearing about it. Now it's in Querétaro, now it's in Puerto Vallarta, and I'd write to the lawyer there that someone gave me the name of, and oh no, it's just ending here. Oh no, whatever. And so my lawyer emailed me at 10:30 on a Friday night. I'll always remember that. And I read her email and I screamed and I started telling friends and texting people, like, guess what? It's coming to Chapala and I qualify. Yay. So on Thanksgiving Day in 2021, I went and picked up my card. It was such a wonderful Thanksgiving. I was very grateful on Thanksgiving Day. And then I had dinner with
Yes.
40 people. Yeah, it was great.
Now we're coming down. I've run out of questions.
Okay.
Wow, you've touched on so many things here. But what should we include? What did I not ask? What has come to your mind that you would like to add to people, that anything that you would like to say, but also for people that are hesitant
Yeah.
about moving to Mexico or maybe just visiting Mexico? What do you have to say overall?
I'd say to come. In fact, I just talked to some folks last night that did this from Canada. They came down for 6 months before they said, yes, we could do this. We want to live here. So come for as long as you can afford or have the time off or whatever, and try different areas. I mean, as you know, the coastal areas in Mexico, they're bliss in the winter, but they're hell in the summer. They're hot and muggy. And if you can't take that kind of weather, you might want to live up here and visit the coast in the winter, because here we have the second best weather in the world, they say. We're at 5,000 feet. We have rain from July through September. It's green and lush and beautiful, only rains at night. So it's like paradise and it's just beautiful. 2 months that are the hottest are April and May. So, but it's not nearly as hot as the coast because we're dry heat. So come different times of year. Come see if you like it. Wherever you're thinking of living in Mexico, try some different areas. There are other mountain towns like San Miguel de Allende is a bigger city in the mountains. So people like that. There are a lot of expats there, and Querétaro and Pátzcuaro. There's other places around that aren't necessarily hot and muggy like the coast, but I would just say give it a try, see if you might like it, and maybe it's not for you. Some people move to Portugal or other places, Spain. You know, my parents had a home in Spain, but see what you think of that. And oh, I wanted to give people how to get a hold of me. Maybe you could put it in the notes or something to my email address. You probably have that. RevMeredithAnn@gmail. And then my website is servicewithheart.com, where they can learn about the angel therapy, integrative energy therapy. And they can write to me from the website as well. And if they want to get my email list for the free Zoom calls, they can email me and say, put me on that list, and I'll let them know when the next call is. And if they want one-on-one time, they can ask for that too.
Oh, Meredith, you are such a source of information, and we will put all of that information in the description below. And also, if you lazy people don't want to read the description, you can email me directly, and you know how to, many of my subscribers know how to do that. So, Meredith, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully we can get together with you and talk about more stuff in the very near future. Thank you very much, Meredith.
Sounds great. You're welcome. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. It was fun. We did well the second time around too. That's great.
What an interview. What a great lady, and I thank her so much for being with us. This is the Bill Dallas Lewis channel, and we will see you in the next video.